You're watching Gamereactor Esports. We are at Copenhagen Games talking to Karrigan from Astralis, the awesome team Astralis. You guys are sort of, you're like paving new ground here for people because everyone else plays for an organization that pretty much existed before they joined them, but then you've broken out on your own and started your own thing. Why did you want to go in that direction?
In my experience for the whole year I played, I felt always the organization never lived up to the expectations you had. Mm-hmm. They said we can give you this, we can give you that, and that's what's going to happen in the future. And in the beginning it's always good, and then suddenly the relationship just crumbles.
Right.
And sometimes you also had, back in the days when EBOS wasn't that big, the contract wasn't valid, you didn't get your money, they took the prize money, all that kind of thing happened. Also had that thought that because I'm studying, I think it's interesting, the economics behind the organization, how do you earn money, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So when we actually with talks with TSM back then to resign, we actually thought of the idea, hey, if you do it on ourselves, what does it take? Who do we need to have responsible for everything? Who do we trust? Mm-hmm. Because in the end, business is always about trusting another person. You need to believe he's doing the best for you, right, and we do the best for him. So the one thing took the other. They fired our manager because he said to TSM we didn't want to resign with them, and then they fired him. They didn't want to pay his salary. Then basically we made him our agent. And doing that, everybody just came with offer because we weren't under contract. We couldn't talk about organizations, so he could talk freely because he was talking on our behalf.
Right.
So everything took everything, and we came with that idea of making our organization would make more sense, and the brand around it and the hype around it would be big. And we don't do business-related things. We have Fredrik and Jacob doing all the things behind the scenes, and we're just here to build the brand for Astralis.
Towards the end of last year, you guys weren't up to your usual standard of play, and then after New Year's and after you launched a new name, it seems like you've been on an upward curve again. So is there a correlation between the fact that you're now on your own man and the way you play, or is it a different factor?
Yeah, you never know, because in my opinion you couldn't see it on a game. You could maybe see different players just not giving 100%, just giving 97%. And if you only give 97% because anyway it's a new brand, we are testing new mouses because now we're not playing on TSM, we didn't have to play with Logitech gear. So it's like find your own system again, find what you want to play with, all that kind of stuff, and make new organization. Everything wasn't set directly, so we had to make a question mark in a period of time. So I think that all of kind of stuff behind our heads was there, and we have to, when it's our new name, we have to show everybody. But then again, we also had a stream of long good results over the whole summer, won 5 tournaments, 4 in a row basically. So I think it was just everything correlating, and us not signing TSM and everybody talking about us. The biggest problem for us was especially the Cluey was a big disappointment for us. We wanted to turn up to the major and then suddenly just broke down at the major. That was a very, very hard period for us, and that was the same time we actually were re-signing or negotiating contracts. So I think everything was just together in one slump, and then when the new name came, a new year, a new start, and we were also grinding our way back, changing a lot of stuff. So I think it's all in all, you can say it had an impact, but I don't think it that big impact. Just like every team is hitting a slump, a hard period in the team. So all in all, it was not because of the name.
You brought on Sonic recently as your coach. Right, as far as I understand, you've been mostly handling the tactics until then. So what prompted you to bring on an additional guy?
So basically it's not because we're out of ideas on our tactical side. I think my biggest problem as Indian leader is I know what we're doing wrong, if the tactics are wrong, how we're losing, I can analyze that. But I can't analyze when we are playing CT bad, because it's a player who wants to do that, and another, communication-wise, it's a problem. And that's why I thought Sonic is the only player that all players will respect, because of he had winning tournaments from the older game. He knows how to win tournaments. He knows what the bigger problem is, and he just goes in and analyzes the communication and why we don't win certain matches. So I'm using him as the guy to point out the mistakes, instead of me sitting here yelling, hey, you're doing a mistake, and then I do a mistake myself. And it feels like an attack when you're a team for so long time, for 1.5 year. If you start correcting mistakes, you tried half a year ago, then you try again. It's just keep on saying the same thing. But if a new guy comes in with new perspective, new way of showing you can do this instead, it just gives, instead of changing a player, it just gives you a a fresh air, like
Right.
doing new stuff.
So
but
he's keeping you on your toes as well.
yeah, so it's like he also anti-strats more, so it makes me more time to like relax at tournaments, so I don't have to sit 3 hours for
Right.
anti-strat at an opponent. And he's bringing up more discussions in the team, and that's healthy for a team.
Looking forward, you're going to Columbus next week. What are your? How are you hoping to do there? Are you going for the win or?
So for our expectations, of course, semi-final. I mean, we need to go to the semi-final. Last two or three times with me within team, we came out of quarterfinal. Every time we were disappointed. The first time was against NRP, and then again, third time we lost to NRP in a quarterfinal, completely blown out of the server. So I think it comes down to semi-final is what we need to reach. Final will be perfect, and winning tournament will be just ultimatum, the best thing could happen. But I don't want to say we are aiming just to go to final. I know semi-final, and then it's just like, who are you playing?
Right.
You're playing Fnatic, LG, Navi, all these teams, and maybe even Dark Horse, Gamers 2, Mouse, and NIP. So I think it's hard to say, but if you face Fnatic in a quarterfinal, you don't that's necessarily just we need to win this. Of course, you're going into winning the tournament and stuff like that, but going to the final would be the biggest step we ever made because we have never been in a major final, so that is our goal, of course.
Right. Karrigan, thank you so much for talking to us, and stay tuned to Gamereactor for more Counter-Strike and esports coverage.